Are you totally different when it comes to sex and copulation? Have you judged yourself out of receiving pleasure? Have you judged yourself into receiving pleasure in certain ways and excluded other ways? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, pleasure diva and body whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic. Now, I was just listening to my brand new intro here on Inspired Choices Network, and I was like, what? I wrote that a while ago, so I forgot what I wrote. And I was so used to hearing my other intro that it was like, what? I'd like to hear the votes out there. If you like the new intro, don't like the new intro. I do get that the sound probably needs to change in the background, and my producer and friend Christine mentioned that too. I think something needs to change there. So we may be changing that intro again, just because I can, because it's fun. All right. Gotta love how our shows do speak to us in the future. Thanks, Keisha, for that. They do. They're brilliant. So, I had a super creative Thursday this week, which was a few days ago. I was on a train on the way to my honeymoon. It's only 1 year after I got married. It was actually a year to the day. It was our anniversary. So we survived. We survived a year. Not only that, we thrived a year. And what we've created in the last year together in our home, together with our daughter, blows my mind. And I say our daughter because Mike, even though he's stepdad, has really stepped into that role, and it's pretty awesome. So as I was sitting on that train ride with very little sleep from the night before, I had this crazy thoughts coming in my head, because that's what happens, right? And I had access to Wi-Fi. Thank Jeebus, because I had all these great ideas. So you might notice when you go into inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, you might notice that I have a whole lineup of ideas, show ideas for the next month. And I know a lot of my other friends got super inspired here too on Inspired Choices Network, and they have gone cuckoo as well, posting their future shows, because part of this station, Inspired Choices, is totally inspiring us to create for the future. And I absolutely love the change in the energy. You're going to have a lot of your old favorite hosts, fabulous new hosts showing up. There may be return of other hosts, you never know. And how great is it? Sometimes just like a new energy for a new year is such a great gift. And it can be really magic. So I want to welcome all of you who are brand new to this station, finding us for the first time. If you guys have followed us over from our last platform to this one, I am so grateful that you did. I'm so grateful that you're listening now and in the future. For those of you who are getting this on archives, it's wonderful that we have that as an option. It's just so cool. For those of you who are listening right now and are like so excited for us and for our new station, and you just feel like calling in and going, oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys and your new station, feel free to call in. You'll notice the numbers. In the U.S., you can call 1-815-880-8255, and in Canada, 1-613-800-8736. You can also Skype Inspired Choices Network to chat with us. Hang out with us in the chat room as well. I love when people come into the chat room and play with us. So please do that. And today, I did have this crazy inspirational Thursday where I was writing down different shows, and the one show that I did come up with was tonight's show. And so tonight's show is called Up Your Sleeve or In Your Pants. Where did I come up with that one? It's because I'm part genius. That's really what it is. I was born part genius, and I think as time goes on, I actually become increasingly more brilliant. And these titles, these titles they stop people. They stop people in their tracks, and people are like, "God, that's brilliant. That is a brilliant, brilliant title." I know that my husband Mike, he was watching over my shoulder as I'm creating these like things on the train, and I'm laughing to myself, and I'm sending them off to Christine, and Christine's like, "Jesus, woman," and Mike is like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Yes, I have some interesting topics coming up, so it is fun. And up your sleeve or in your pants. What am I talking about? You know how sometimes people hide things up their sleeve? I kind of thought, well, if we are hiding things up your sleeve, maybe there's things that are magic, like magic tricks. And, and there's always the guy who's hiding, scarves up their sleeves or, what else could you hide in your pants but your magic wand, right? How many of you are hiding your magic wand and you really should just take it out and celebrate it? Just an idea. So my big question to all of you guys is there anything about you that is magic that you're actually hiding from the planet? Are you hiding it from yourself? So a lot of times people don't even know that they are magic. And I guarantee you, every single one of you out there listening is magic, has magic, and you be magic. Now, whether you express it, choose it, it doesn't matter. None of that's relevant whether you express it or choose it. It's that you are it. And then if you actually did step into it, you would be that. So, it's your choice to express your magic. Now, this is the Pleasure Zone. And on the Pleasure Zone, we talk about all things really, but a lot of it has to do with bodies, sensuality, sexuality, copulation, pleasure, enjoyment, how to have more of that. And one of the things I'm aware of is that when you hide yourself in any way, you are actually diminishing the pleasure that you can have. You're diminishing you, and in diminishing you, you are actually taking away from what you can offer the world, which is essentially your magic. Offering you to the world is your magic. So it doesn't have to be like Harry Potter. It doesn't have to be like take out that magic wand and flick it and, sparks go flying. And change can happen just as fast as that. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to look like that. So if you are hiding anything up your sleeve, you might be, hiding tricks up your sleeve. Maybe you don't want anybody to see them. What if some of those tricks aren't just, tricks where you're tricking yourself? That's number one, is you probably, if you're hiding anything up your sleeve from yourself, you are tricking yourself. So let's just see if you would be willing to stop hiding anything from you. Stop hiding it up your sleeve. And in some places and areas in the world, maybe you need to hide it in your pants because it could be illegal if you take it out. So in those circumstances, hide the magic wand in your pants. But if you are in a place in the world where it's legal to allow the magic wand out, go for it. And I do get that this show sounds like I'm on crack tonight because I feel a little bit like I'm on crack. There's something going on energetically. There are, I was reading a post on Instagram today from a friend of mine who's an astrologer, and she was like going on about Venus and this and that. And I was like, well, that could explain something. However, interesting point of view to all of it, but I do get that our bodies do have and do get affected by planetary shifts. So if you are feeling something, you might be in the planetary shifts going on. Who knows, right? So what is it that, I think it's really funny actually, because I am aware that I hid my magic for a very long time. And I probably to some degree still hide some parts of me. And I was thinking about this, and I think this show really came up for me because my daughter's the person who co-created my daughter's body with me, how else to explain it, her sperm donor-esque type person, he was, he kind of tried to re-enter our lives in a way, I suppose you could say. And in the last very short while, in the last week or so, through, holiday season and contacting for that. And what I became aware of the guy who, used, it's the body parts that came together and my daughter was created. So there you go. So, how do you explain that? So what I became aware of is that I spent a really long time, and it wasn't just that day, but I've become more and more aware of how I so avoided being magic around him, because I was also so aware that if I was my magical, amazing self, that he would be really in love with me more than he said he was, and he would never leave. And that just didn't work for me. So what I have noticed is that when I would like people to be around me, I start to step more into being my magical self. So whatever that looks like, silly, fun, ridiculous, angry even can be a magic as well. If you didn't know that anger could be your magic, then guess what? It can be. Sometimes your anger can be like a direct laser beam of magic that gets things changed and moving faster than trying to be like, oh yeah, so could you please just do this for me, instead of going, do this now, and then it gets done. It's like, what energy is required? So maybe your magic is something you've been avoiding because you thought it was wrong and bad, and no, I shouldn't feel this way, it's negative. What if it's not negative? What if it's your magic? Bring it to the table. And I wonder, too, with that story that I was saying, like, if you look at relationships from your past or present, and you notice that you're, trying everything to have that person leave you, walk away from you, or whatever, if you're noticing that, you might want to ask if you avoid being all of you around them. Or if they do kind of start to step away, walk away, are you avoiding being all of you? Or are you being all of you and that's something they can't receive? So, and that's okay if they can't receive you. It's okay if you can't receive you. It's, it's something that you can work with, play with, and check out, because eventually, sometimes if you choose it, you can get, you can become more, I'm just becoming aware that I'm going to be switching something up. You can become more of you, like more of your magic through just choosing it, right? So that would be amazing if you desire it. And if you don't desire it, then don't do it. So like I was saying about in the relationship I had, is I was truly aware that I was choosing not to be me. And I was actually creating a lot of points of views that were I was specifically putting them in place in my life, consciously or unconsciously, but I was specifically using these points of views. And somebody mentioned today refined points of views to me, and I'd seen it posted on Facebook a few times, refined judgments, and I was like, what is that? Is it like refined sugar? We like process it so much that, it becomes something completely different. I'm not really sure what refined judgments are, but let's go with that. What is a refined judgment anyway? Is it like overly processed? Anyhow, it was like that. I really spent a lot of time creating like the perfect judgments and points of views that would have this man desire stepping away from me, or so I hoped. So I'd like to talk more about that, how we hide our magic, where we hide our magic, what we're doing with that, and where we can change it if we like. I'd like to talk more about that when we come back from this break here on Inspired Choices Network.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255 or Canada 613-800-8736, or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. I'm so glad that you guys can join me tonight. It's really funny. We were just kind of laughing at my new ads. I think we're going to change them because, hey, we can, and that's awesome. So tonight, the topic is up your sleeve or in your pants. So I'm wondering, where do you hide your magic? Are you hiding your magic? Do you even know you have magic? Before I went to break, I mentioned what I had actually done purposefully to hide me, to hide my magic. And it was really directly in relation to, having somebody, hopefully I was hoping this person would walk out of my life. I spent years and years refusing, denying, and hiding me more and more and more and more around them, creating points of views that I knew would piss them off. And one of the things that's magic about me is I know how to piss people off just as much as I know how to not piss them off. Bet you guys aren't as magic as me. Bet you can't piss people off like you know how to. So I'm the only one who knows how to piss people off like magic. So I tried to change this relationship and have this person, I really wanted this person to break up with me. I'm hilarious that way. I always felt like it would be easier on them if it was their choice. And then, it finally comes down to sometimes like 10 years later, you're like, okay, you refuse to break up with me and walk away from me. You choose abuse. You choose to abuse and be abused. This is not working because I actually don't like abusing people, but if that's the relationship you desire and I have to be in one of abuse, it was not fun for me. So, and between hiding my magic and hiding it up my sleeve and definitely hiding it in my pants, like, I got to tell you, I'd never been so holding myself back so much sexually, energetically, as I had in that relationship. And it was a great lesson for that. It was a great, wow, I really see clearly that I was choosing to withhold, energetically. I was willing to really withhold sex, myself, all of it. And we're not stupid people. None of us are. It's that, sometimes we choose things that don't work for us. So in me choosing that relationship, I was actually choosing something that, as much as it didn't work for me, I obviously got something out of it because I kept choosing it. Even when I thought I was trying to get out of it, it can be as easy as walk away. And I didn't. I just kept on going and going and going. And why am I saying this? I'm telling you guys this because if you are one of those people like me that actually has a capacity with sex, who actually enjoys sex, but you're finding that you're not, and say you're in a relationship and you're really not enjoying sex or the other person's body or your body at all, and you're creating all kinds of reasons for it, you might find that this relationship isn't one that is creating for you, for your life now or in the future. You might be way more aware than you're willing to acknowledge. If you actually gave yourself a little ounce of credit and acknowledged that this relationship might not be working for you, you might walk away. You might walk away without having to wait 10 years of withholding your magic, withholding you. And I say this because I'm also aware of how that impacted my body. So after years and years of choosing to hide the magic in my pants, hide the magic up my sleeve, literally hiding it up my sleeve, I'm a body worker. One of my capacities is to do somatic body work. And one of the things I really didn't want to do was heal that person's body. And so I would withhold my capacities as a healer just so I wouldn't be requested or required to assist his body. Isn't that adorable? And it was exhausting. So are you in any way withholding your capacities? You might not know if you have them or not, but, if you've ever been around some people and they feel fantastic around you, if you've had incidents where, maybe you hug a person and when they got hurt or something and then they feel better, guess what? You have a capacity to heal people and yourself. And maybe if you played with it more, your magic would become stronger, faster, more fun, more expansive. So it's something to just keep a note of. So why do I say keep a note of it? It's because you don't have to sit there and judge it. Just kind of note it. And you go, oh, look, that's what I did. I actually withheld myself. I chose not to copulate, knowing that if I did, I knew unconsciously and somewhat consciously that copulating with this person was going to create more of a connection, and that's not what I desired. And I'm aware that I can create connection with people very fast with touch. Doesn't even have to be copulating. And I bet a lot of you guys listening out there also have a capacity that when you touch people, they feel something. They might feel connected to you. They might feel more connected to everything. They might be like, holy crap, I'm actually alive on a planet with people who are kind and caring.
And if that's something you don't want this person, somebody to see, for example, I didn't want this person in particular to see that I was kind and caring because they would think that it was all for them. So if you think that you're withholding your kind and caringness because you don't want to give it to somebody, guys, it's not a favor to you, and it's not a favor to the universe. You withholding, so me, withholding my kindness or my caring because I didn't want this person to see it, was actually making me withhold a lot of my kindness and caring for others as well. So that was, again, it's an exhausting thing to hold on to that much energy, right? So are you willing to look at the places in your life where you have either withheld your kindness knowingly, withheld your anger knowingly, because sometimes your anger is also a great kindness. What I wasn't willing to do for the longest time in that relationship is I wasn't willing to get so mad. Like, I had so much energy pent up, so I was holding on to caring and kindness, didn't want to show that off. So what did that do? It created like a dam, a buildup, energy buildup. Now, the energy didn't care what it was just building up. A lot of energy. When a lot of energy builds up, some people lose it and they go, what's that word for it? It's like when people go crazy, like they're driving and they become like driving maniacs. It's like you can go a little nuts when you have so much energy that you'd like to express, whether it's through kindness or through anger. It's an energy and it would like to be expressed. Now, that's whether you go paint a picture, you go do a giant fart, you go hug 100 people, it doesn't really matter. There's energy, it would like to be expressed. So, yes, ballistic is the word. Yes, it's like get out those guns and start shooting, and you might feel like that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having that much energy. So what is that? What would you like to do with that energy? Is screaming going to create the greatest results? It might. You know what? Don't assume that it won't. I've had some of the greatest therapies, therapeutic releases in my life when I've done like primal type screaming. It's been very cathartic, very enriching, and I was reminded actually of that as well today, because it's like I was actually reminded of the cathartic healing experiences that I used to go and have, because as I was sitting on the train on the way home today, I got this great message from a woman that I hadn't spoken to in literally like 9 years. And I'd been sending her messages like, hey, how are you? Wondered, but never got a response from her in like 9 years. Never got a response from her. And randomly I would just send her another message. Today she wrote to me and she's like, hey, do you know anybody who does Reiki in London? I'm like, boy, that's random. London, England. So I wrote to a friend of mine and asked her, and she's like, well, I do it, but I don't do it. But it was a really funny conversation, because my initial healing work for me started 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago this year. So 2017 for me is an anniversary year for me when I stepped into healing work. I stepped into it actually just a little before that, but I was doing ear candling then, but more formally, like hanging out my I Will Touch Your Body shingle. That came in 1997. So I'm very excited that it's my 20th anniversary of anything. That's what I'm excited about. Not that it's 2017. It's more like, wow, I've actually chosen to step more and more into this. And even though there was this period of time when I was in this partnership with this person, in this relationship with them, I wouldn't really call it a partnership, because that's when people are maybe, I guess we created crap, so we were creating. So in that time we were together, I really had this teeter-totter, like there would be so much tug-of-war kind of effect inside of me, like I want to do this and I don't want to do this. If I do this and I make money, then this person's going to take all my money. There were so many factors for why I didn't want to succeed, have fun, share or contribute or really enjoy bodies. And so really it's been for me in the last like 3.5 years since I met my current lover husband that I felt so much that somebody had my back, that I could go step into my healing capacities more than I ever have. And I'm so grateful for him, even though he's probably not ever going to listen to this show, but some of his family does. So, and they know I'm grateful for him, but it's like it's beyond that he's married me. He's actually like been this amazing gift, like so present with me that I can go create everything I'd like to create, and be willing to step more into my capacities and more and more and more. So it's a very cool thing that when you are willing to let your magic out, how it can grow, and knowing who sometimes adding a little element to your magic. Maybe you've got your big pot out and you're adding different elements to your magic, and maybe sometimes it is a person. Sometimes it's like there is a person that when they're in your life, everything is ease, and you know it. And sometimes, maybe they need to hear that they are the element of ease for you, for your life. And, some people need salt. Some people need that element of ease, right? So let them know. Because you know what? It's something we so often overlook. We're just like, oh, yeah, everything's great around you and ease. And we think, yeah, so what's there to talk about? But that's something to talk about, because that is such a gift. And he's not the only person like that, but since he stepped into my life, I've been able to see all the other people who are also that for me, that I wasn't willing to even acknowledge that they existed before. Some of them I didn't even know at the time. So it's amazing. I'm just amazed at when you are willing to show your magic to the world, that so many people feel invited by it and so many people would like to contribute to it growing. It's just so cool. So I love that. And I'm overdue on a break, so we're going to head off to break here on the Pleasure Zone on Inspired Choices Network. And when we come right back, I'm not sure where this show is going, but it's going somewhere.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour, and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator, to schedule a private session, or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255 or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email at milicajelenic.com. Now back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and we are celebrating a new year, 2017. I'm very excited. This is the first show of the new year for me. One of the things that I'm celebrating this year is my magic, and that's part of why this title came up. There was a lot of influences actually on this title. Lack of sleep was one of them. The other one was having this energy of my ex coming back into our lives. Just even if it was for a blip, I still had this whoa, there was a lot of awareness that came with it. And also just acknowledging the 20 years of choosing to know more, experience more, and acknowledge more about my magic. So I know that we've talked about on this show, in particular on this program, The Pleasure Zone, in the last 2.5 years, I know we've talked about the capacity as a healer with sex, and that is one of the ways you can be hiding your magic in your pants. Guess what? We're just going to go for the obvious. So, you can hide your, it could be your magic wand you're hiding in your pants. Guys, if you've got a great magic wand and you're not letting the ladies have fun with, or the guys, if you're not letting people play with your magic wand and you're like, it's only my magic wand, only I can use that, then you kind of withholding the magic from the world. Just saying. You could have a magic basket in your pants too, absolutely. I think that's called the golden vagina. That's the other thing. 5 golden rings, 5 golden vaginas. There must be a Christmas song in there somewhere. So if I rewrote the 12 Days of Christmas, it would be very, very different and very interesting. And it would involve golden vaginas and magic wands. That's what I'm aware of. Maybe I'll rewrite it for next year, for the next Christmas show for 2017 and everybody can sing it with me. It could be a Valentine song. You're right. That's right. It's a great idea because there aren't enough Valentine songs out there celebrating with the 12 Days of Valentine's. So I'd really like to look at, so magic is the main theme of tonight, even though up your sleeve and in your pants, or you wouldn't necessarily know that was the theme, but the theme has to do with where do we hide our magic, so up the sleeve, and I'd like to look at that as because when I first thought of it, I thought of hiding hankies up your sleeve, and then all these thoughts went in my head because my great grandmother, she could she was a fast shooter when it came to Kleenexes, and she had 10 of them always hiding up her sleeve, and you could be like, I need a Kleenex, and my great grandma could whip one out of nowhere hiding up her sleeve, and sometimes you weren't sure, was that a clean Kleenex or a used Kleenex, but usually you had snot on your face, so you didn't care, you're just grab the Kleenex. She was funny. So that was my first thought of up the sleeve was my grandmother and her Kleenexes, and of course, I just thought her Kleenex idea was great. So for the longest time, I adopted her method of up the sleeve until I found out it was probably once you blow your nose. What I wasn't aware of is once you blow your nose, you don't stick the Kleenex back up your sleeve, which is what I didn't know if my grandmother did that or not, but I think she did, and so I just, I just thought, okay, once I realized that I was recontaminating my body, I stopped shoving it back up my sleeve. I was somewhere in my teens when I did that. You guys all wanted to know that story, but this is where up your sleeve comes in mind for me. So, but if I could hide magic up my sleeve, what would it be? And when I think about what it is that could be fun to hide, just for you, just for fun, you can hide your magic. Instead of hiding it as a way of being secretive with it or trying to protect it as if it's something that can be stolen or stolen from you or contaminated in some way, what if none of that's possible? Okay, anything's possible, but what if none of that's what you would choose to have your magic contaminated? You could contaminate your own magic with your points of views and with your own limitations. That's probably the biggest way to contaminate your magic. But if you actually just started to, go, okay, cool, I feel like having some magic that the rest of the world doesn't know about, and I'm not going to tell anybody. So just for me, just for fun, is having some magic and not letting the whole world know about it. So what is that magic that you have that you don't have to tell the whole world about? Do you have some magic, like maybe you're a magic chef and you don't want to tell the whole world that you're magic at cooking, because if you did, everybody would show up for free food at your house and you just are like, I just don't have the time for that. Maybe you're super magic and fast at creating things, but if people knew that you could, build a house in 2 weeks, they would go, well, then it's not worth $500,000 because you built it in 2 weeks. But if you told them it took you a year, then they would give you the $500,000. So are you also trying to hide your magic because you're so gosh darn fast and amazing at something, or so just in general amazing at something that it's so easy for you that you think other people would devalue it, so you don't want anybody to know how awesome you are at it? Well, that's cute. And so you can keep choosing it if you like, or you can change it, just a choice. So I'm just wondering if you're also possibly hiding your magic because you're hiding it from you. And if you are, and you'd like to find out more about how to step into, your capacities and talents and abilities, I happen to have a little bit of talent in that area. So if you want to know more about your capacities and you want to give me a call, that would be cool. You can find me because I have a website. I'm also on social media. And as one of my good friends say, when you're on social media, did you know that social media is for being social? Frick, I love her quote on that, and I will use it all the time. So social media is about being social. So get on there and be social with me. You can contact me. You can, write to me. I might even write you back if you're not, sending me porno videos right off the bat. Sometimes I'll write back to you for those too, but sometimes I just don't have time to watch them all. Appreciate the thoughts, but it's nice. So, yes, get on that social media with me and get social, because that's fun. I'm into that, and I'm getting more suave with playing with Instagram. So you can start following me on Instagram, and very soon the Pleasure Zone will have its own Instagram with all things Pleasure Zone related. Can be quirky, can be awesome, sexy for sure. I'm very excited for all of that. So, so some of the things that you've been hiding up your sleeve, whether it's Kleenexes like my grandmother used to do, or whether you actually are hiding other things up your sleeve like talents you don't want anybody to see because you're like, oh, I can't do that. If everybody knew I was super fast and awesome at that, well, I started to get, I worked on somebody once, and something changed for them in like 5 minutes, and it was life-threatening, you could say, because they were told they had like 6 weeks to live. And it was funny because for a while after that, I didn't want to tell people that I had facilitated this person and their body, because I felt like if I told them that kind of magic was possible, they would create these massive expectations around that for themselves and for what change they could have. And so I didn't want to tell them that I could do like magic like that. So now sometimes I even notice I'll like explain my magic, but put a stipulation on it. Like, yes, I can facilitate that because that person was willing to receive it, and that's why I can do that. But and I'll create other stipulations so that I don't have to totally show up completely. Don't have to necessarily be that magical. That could be intimidating. So, in case I'm not that magical that day, then I just want to make sure that I have my disclaimer out there. But on days when I am that magical, that's awesome. Truth of the matter is, we are always, all of us, all that magical. And it's just a matter of willing to see it, acknowledge it, and be it. And choose it, because so many times we just don't, for whatever cute reason, we don't choose it. So where are you avoiding being your magic? Where are you avoiding it? Because we avoid it for so many cute reasons. Usually when we think we're just totally terrible at something, like, oh my God, I'm terrible at business. Oh my God, I'm terrible at, graphics. Oh my God, I'm terrible at dancing. Oh my God, I'm terrible at sex. Oh my God, we'll have these things that we think oh my God, I'm terrible at relationships. We think we're terrible with these things. Like, we're probably the only ones on the planet that are terrible at these things. And the hilarious part of it is you probably have a whole crap load of capacities in that area that you've just been trying to do it everybody else's way, because you're like, hey, they do relationship that way and I don't, so I suck at relationships. No, maybe you're totally freaking magic at them because you're doing them a totally different way. And having the courage to step up and do it your own way, as ridiculous as it may look to everybody else, even as ridiculous as it may look to your own mind when you're trying to be your own logical mind. If your logical mind is like, this plus this equals good relationship, and that's not what's showing up, you might think you're terrible at relationships. But if you went, is this part of the magic that I am in relationship, you might start to go, fuck, okay, so I don't suck at relationships, and maybe my relationship doesn't actually suck. Maybe this is part of the magic that I can be and am in relationships. Well, that could be a totally different story. So I'd like you to look at the part of your life that you think you totally suck at, and just ask, well, okay, do I actually suck at this, or am I just totally different with this? Because maybe you're just totally different, and if you are totally different with it, awesome. And if you are totally different, ask also, do I have some capacities with this? Am I a little bit of magic with this? Am I a lot of magic with this? Because chances are you are. And just like for the longest time, I thought I absolutely sucked, not even sucked in a good way, not even like sucked guys off like a pro, but I thought I stunk bad physically and, with talents. I just thought it was like rotten in Denmark when it came to sex for me. I just thought I was awful at it. Was told that. Even though I enjoyed bodies, I thought, I'm really terrible at this. Like, I'm so bad at sex. This is sad. So hilarious that I have this show, because for a long time I judged me with that, and I got more that sex is different for me, and it's 99% energetic for me and like 1% physical. So really funny that I would think that, because I was comparing myself to everybody else I knew, all of their experiences, and not acknowledging what's true for me. And the more you acknowledge what's true for you and what's true in terms of your capacities, you can allow them to grow and expand. So then you can have them, and you can still choose to hide them, like I talked about. You can have the just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone you have these capacities. Instead, I chose to have a radio show. You can either be like, just for me, just for fun, I can give blowjobs that change your world, or just for me, just for fun, I'm never going to talk about it. Like, I could never talk about it, or I could talk about it all the time on the radio, because it's more fun for me to talk about it, because I bet there's a lot of you out there who aren't talking about it. If you are, you're maybe not talking about it in such a massively public forum to go, hey, do you have capacities with oral sex? Do you have capacities with anal sex? Do you have capacities with vaginal penetration? Because if you do, you might be magic. So, but even without that, you can have magic in other ways, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be a sexual superhero like my intro says. But what if you are? And what if you have capacities in your own ways? And I'd like you to look at especially the places where you think you absolutely are awful, because I bet you have capacities there. You know, for artists, you know, if you're artists, you're usually generally the most critical of themselves in so many ways, whether it's healing arts or whether it's, you know, painting artists, martial artists even, highly critical people. Why? Because we're super fucking creative and always looking for what else is possible. For the most part, people who are on the creative edge are always looking at creating and now what, and now what, and now what. So it's not that it's I think it's a misunderstanding that people think that it's never good enough. I think what it is we're always looking to create more and more and more, because we know that more is possible, and we know that magic is possible, and we're always looking for that energy where the spark of magic is. So we can start to ask for that, and ask for that spark of magic. Like, where is that spark of magic? And follow that energy of, hey, where's the spark of magic? That if I add that spark and add that to my life, things will just like fizzle up, grow. It's kind of like doing a flambe. You know, you've got all the sauces going and add a little fire and it all goes up. Yeah, it's like awesome, right? So maybe you'd like to add a little spark that's actually going to make that fire grow. And for you, it's like, and for me, like for all of us, like what if that magic we've been hiding in our pants and up our sleeves is something where we just have to add a little something and it all expands. For me, it was literally one letter from my now current lover husband 3.5 years ago that opened a door for me that literally has contributed massive amounts to my life, for me to even start to consider that maybe I'm a sexual being with capacities, with, you know, the ability to create change in bodies through touch. I knew it. I kind of knew I was doing it because some part of me was drawn to it, but now I get that maybe I can embrace that more, be that more, share that more with people, invite people to more through my abilities and my capacities. And so what about you? What are some of the abilities and capacities that you would love to share with the world? Maybe you've been hiding them. Maybe you're not aware of them. Maybe you wish you had them and think you don't have them. Really, I know you have them. So I know that you have them, and I know that if you just start to even look at the parts of you that you judge the most, the chances are it's like literally kind of gold hiding under that rough rock. I know if you just start to like just examine it a little bit, you're going to find those sparkles. It's like up here where I live, we have rock everywhere, and there's sparkly quartz in it. If you look close enough, you'll find sparkles of quartz everywhere. Sparkles of magic, I tell you. Just start looking a little closer at you, looking a little closer around you, especially at the things that you're judging the most, because your talents are hiding in the things that are ease for you and the things that you judge. It's always in that polarity and what else is possible. I want to thank you guys all for joining us on this new network, Inspired Choices Network, and on my show today, The Pleasure Zone. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm really excited about the next few shows coming up. Next week is called How Not to Wine and Dine, tips and tools on how not to be a whiny bum in a relationship, bum, bitch, whatever. Have a great and awesome week. Until next week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica, Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.